The people who are likely to save us from the delights of PC multiculturalism are not the activists, but the ordinary people who don't care about politics, except insofar as it interferes with their ability to get on with their lives, and I don't blame them. Now, the reason I say this is because I don't think we're going to get saved by revolution or by voting in a get tough government, but by the breakdown of government. The state is defunct, it is incompetent and feeding itself to death, like Mr. Creosote.
Now fuck off, I'm full of sun. It's only a wafer thing.
And the sociopathic lemmings in charge guarantee the same outcome. When it does blow, ordinary people are going to have to make some pretty shrewd, tough decisions about what they need in order to be able to keep getting on with their lives. One of the things I think people will have to do is then to choose between competing private systems of law to sign up to, because the state won't be there to do it anymore. So you'll probably get competing systems of law on offer. And people will need to choose which one they want to be subjected to in order to be able to trade, to be able to buy things, to get paid, to be protected from crime. Now, I provided a legal code and made it available online. I'll leave the link below that you can use if it comes to that. It's pretty basic stuff, it's pretty crude, but I think it's enough to enable you, if the law goes down, to enable you to rent some stuck-up, custard-faced judge and then kick him in the arse to make him apply it properly. Now, in those circumstances, if people have to choose between among systems of law to apply, they are not going to choose a system of law that has any truck with PC multiculturalism, because PC multiculturalism is nasty, expensive and crime-ridden. No ordinary battler coming back from a day's work is going to choose to spend more money in order for the privilege of being subjected to crime from people who hate him. Quite the reverse. Birds of a feather will flock together. People will choose to trust people whom they trust and no one else. And on the back of that, you are likely to see people who are hostile to that, people who don't fit in with that, getting passed over and then increasingly excluded and squeezed out. On the back of that, we're likely to see patriotism arising again, as it always does in civilized society, as a means of self-preservation and self-assertion. People in their own homelands getting together, grouping together in order to protect and preserve their own interests, and developing out of that, and developing friendship out of the ability of standing up for their own interests together, developing a sense of community of interest. So that's why I think that we are likely in 2 or 3 decades' time to see our society unrecognisably better. And even if we were only 10% of the population in our own land, we could still do that if we chose to. And the question is whether we will choose to. That is how it will be timed. Now, the reason that I think non-activists will be the people who do it is because there are more of us and we have a stronger motivation. We're motivated by the wish to survive and to get on with our lives. Activists tend to be motivated by emotion. They tend to get angry. They want to show how passionate they are about whatever it is they were talking about. Or maybe they just get angry. Look at this.
I don't know what you like, bruv. You have about 100 you in a minute. You f***ing little chief. You f***ing chief. Prick. You see? That is Islam. You f***ing little prick. The thing is, you get out of this car, they'll be here from everywhere. Watch how many of them now turn up. Watch how many of them now turn up. I'll do your window up so you can't get out, because I'm telling you, look. F***ing pussy. Watch what I get with your f***ing houses, you f***ing mug.
Now, he's just been assaulted in broad daylight in his own hometown, and he's angry about it. I would be, you probably would be as well. But the first thing he does is to fantasize. The first thing he goes to is fantasizing about going into somebody else's house. Now, for what reason? Yeah, I think we can guess. How is that going to solve anything? What will that solve? That won't solve anything. It will make it harder to solve by making things more chaotic. It won't solve things any more than getting 3 Rochdale child rapists deported, who the Home Office and the courts have already decided should be deported. They're just dragging their feet over. That will make you feel better if you accomplish that. That sop to emotion won't get any closer to the reality of the problem. And the reality of the problem is about numbers within our land and preserving our own existence and our own legitimate interests in our own homeland. Most activists just want to displace, to jump into the shoes of the current crop of lemmings in charge. And that's why I don't think of myself as an activist. I'm not an activist. I don't want power. You can think of me as a compassionate redneck who's just flogging a product, except I don't want anything for it. It's something that you can use if the state goes down. And so for that reason, if you just want to get on with your life, then I am for you. So don't worry if you're not quite as committed as you really ought to be, or if you don't have a lot of money to give. That doesn't really matter. You get hinge points in history, soft spots in history, where doing fairly small things, making decisions about your own lives, can have a big effect. We are not in one of those times at the moment. At the moment, we're in a time of fake stability, of kind of paralysis and rot. But I think we're likely to hit one of those hinge times over the next decade or so. When that happens, just making decisions about what you need in order to be able to live your life in freedom and safety, making those decisions in large enough numbers will have a very big effect and will enable you to turn back the flood, to turn the tide. Now, I've provided the tools that you can use. It's available online. I'll leave the link below. But in the meantime, what I do, I stop mosques. I do that in the hope of slowing the tide just a little, so that when the time comes, ordinary people can stop the flood. They have more room to stop the flood more humanely, more bloodlessly. And then at that time, I think the bulk of ordinary people will then stop the flood and then turn back the flood and drain the flood and finally reclaim the land.